If the thought of selling makes you cringe, or you're afraid of being too pushy, or you feel like you're being too salesy and you don't want to bother people by talking about your offer, and maybe you're even thinking that if somebody wants to work with you, they would reach out, then this episode is going to be for you. So I actually got a listener request for this episode, an episode on sales and how to sell without feeling weird about it. So if you ever have a topic you want me to cover on Copywriter, then reach out, shoot me a DM, because I really do want these episodes to be as helpful and relevant for you as possible. Welcome back to another episode of the Cozypreneur podcast. If this is your first time listening, Cozypreneur is all about helping you make money and work with the dreamiest of clients. So grab your beverage, get your cozy socks on, and let's dive in. Let's talk about why sales even matters and what makes sales so hard. And sales really is your business, right? If you don't have sales, you're not going to have a successful business because it's how you make money, it's how you pay yourself, right? And so something that is really tricky when you're not making sales is there's a lot of pressure to make sales. And when that pressure kicks in, it's going to be even harder to make sales because everything that you're doing, showing up, marketing, getting on social media, sales calls, all of those feel like they're so important because you're in survival mode. So I will say, if this is you, if either you're starting out and you haven't built up your network yet and you're not making sales, or you're going through a slow period, get a side hustle. And I say this because when you take the pressure off of sales, sales becomes so much easier. Last year I started doing Rover, and that just opened up so much flexibility in my business because I wasn't so worried about, okay, like I need to sign this next client. And it was like, cool, if I sign this next client, it's gonna be awesome. But if I don't, it's okay. I know that I'll fill the spot somewhere down the line, but I'm not worried about, can I pay my rent? Can I pay my bills? So I would say if you are in that situation, definitely take care of your basic needs first, right? Your safety and security, making sure that you can eat, you have housing, all of those things. And then you can take all of that extra energy into your business when you have it. Because when you show up and you don't have all of that pressure on a sales conversation, on every single social media post, sales can even feel fun, right? It feels exciting. It's a celebration. And you don't have to overthink every single thing that you're doing. And when you show up with that energy, your people are going to feel it too. And you're going to trust that your people want what you have to offer, and it's going to affect the way that you show up. So if you're somebody who is struggling with sales, if you feel like you're being too salesy, or maybe you're scared of showing up and doing the sales activity, then this episode is going to help you break that cycle. The first thing to consider is that sales isn't just one thing, and it doesn't have to look one way. Just because somebody is doing sales in a specific way doesn't mean you have to do sales in a specific way. At the end of the day, sales is communication. And so what you need to do as you grow and as you get better at sales is find something that's going to work for you. And I say get better at sales because it is a skill. It's something that you get better at over time because you'll feel more confident as you do it more. But you don't have to use somebody else's sales script. You don't have to do sales calls if you don't want to do sales calls. You don't have to do DM sales if you don't want to do DM sales. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It's flexible, and you can figure out a way that's going to work for you. I really hold on to this. Sales is just communication. Whenever I'm overthinking something, like maybe I'm in my DMs and I'm like, well, how am I going to respond to this? It's like, well, what is the message that I want to get across, and how can I communicate that? And that way it takes the pressure off too, because I'm not like, oh my gosh, I have to say the perfect thing. Like, no, it's just like, it's just a conversation. I think where people get caught up, right, is that there's a lot of emotions tied up in sales because you're feeling like you don't want to be salesy, you don't want to be mean, but being salesy isn't about convincing people. It's not about pressuring people. It's about clear communication. And so what you're doing with sales and also with your marketing is showing people exactly how you can help them. And so when you think about sales of actually being of service, that's going to help you show up in a way that feels more authentic. And so when you think about like big companies like Apple or Nike, because they're marketing their products, right? Like you're not shaming them for marketing their products. They're just doing business. And so really having that mindset for you too, of like, I don't need to feel bad about selling my services because I am here and I'm helping people. And I get that the imposter syndrome can kick in and you're like, but what if I don't actually know what I'm doing? But it's like, you do. And that's why you're here. And that's why you're showing up and able to sell. So diving into marketing versus sales, your marketing and sales mirror each other. So when you're thinking about marketing frameworks or sales frameworks, you're kind of taking people through the customer journey, right? So you're starting with talking about their problems, and that's really validating their experiences. The agitation is, okay, why is right now a good time to make a change versus waiting for 6 months from now or a year from now? And then what is the solution that they want? And then finally ending with your offer, right? So when you hop on a sales call or even DM sales, right, you're going through these. You're asking them, what are they struggling with? You're asking them, why now versus later? You're asking them, what is it that they want? And then you're showing them, how does your offer help them get to the solution that they want? And you're doing the same thing in your marketing. You're taking people through that journey of going from problem aware to product aware and talking about how your offer helps them. So these two mirror each other and they inform each other. So say you're on a sales call and somebody is talking all about their problems, you can use that voice of customer research and infuse it into your marketing. Because if one person is having that problem, there are other people in your audience who are having the same problem. If one person has this dream of how they want their life to look, other people in your audience have the same dream. And so taking things that you learn from sales conversations and infusing it into your marketing. And it can actually go the other way too, right? You're having conversations on your social media and you're learning about your audience. And so that can inform the way that you show up and talk to people on sales calls. Some of the biggest mistakes that I see when it comes to marketing and sales is never talking about your offer. So people don't know what you do. And I see this where people are really good at having conversations. Maybe they have a big following. They have a lot of engaging content, but they're never actually talking about their offer. So people don't know how to work with them. And if people don't understand what you do and how you help them, they're not going to sign up to work with you. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see. The other side of this is talking about your offer with no context. And so some of the feedback I get from this is, well, I don't really want to talk to people about their problems. But if people don't see that you understand their problems, that you get it where they are and where they want to go, that's going to hinder the trust, right? You want people to know that you get it because that builds the trust that you are going to be able to help them solve their problem. And so when you're talking about your offer, you need to talk about the problems that your offer solves. You need to talk about what it's going to look like when they solve those problems. You're going to talk about why your offer is going to help them now and why now is a good time to invest. And so making sure that you talk about your offer in context and not just saying like, hey, this is my offer and here's all the deliverables and here's what I do, but instead saying like, hey, this is my offer and here's how it's going to help you get from where you are now to where you are, to where you want to be. And so you're doing that both in your marketing and in your sales conversations. So that's something to think about. They really do mirror each other. One of the things that I really struggled with when I started was this idea that sales should be kind of fast and I should be able to make money really fast. And a lot of the messaging in the online space when I started was around that. I think the first coaching program I invested in was like scale to 5K months. And then 3 months later, I still was making no money. So that was a big disappointment for me. But what I've learned is that for me, what works is building relationships. And that means that some people in my audience, they might hang around for 6 months, 12 months before they buy, and that's okay. And, you know, I think other people are experiencing this too because the online space is changing. People are becoming more and more aware of marketing tactics and strategies. And so it's taking longer to build trust. And that trust is really what's going to get people to convert. And so what you want to do, as you're building relationships, as you're building your network, is staying top of mind. And so how do you do that? One is being consistent. And when I say consistent, I don't mean you need to show up every single day. I take social media breaks, especially when it's starting to affect my mental health. But how can you find ways where you are showing up in a way that is steady, even if it's not daily, where you are staying top of mind so that when your people are ready, they know where to find you. They know exactly how you help them. The second thing that really helps me is focusing on my client experience. So again, this is a very long-term strategy, but my clients stay for a while. I don't have a lot of client overturn, and I get a lot of client referrals, but that comes from having a really good client experience and really just doing a great job and, helping people feel really good and actually delivering on what I say I'm going to deliver on. And then the last thing that I have done that has been super helpful for me is finding people that sign up for longer term contracts. So having people sign up for 12 months versus a one-time project, because that takes away the pressure from selling. I don't have to constantly keep on selling. I can kind of just, show up when I show up, but I'm not feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to make a sale right now. I have to make a sale right now. Instead, I have these long contracts. I get to really work deeply with my clients. They send me more referrals. They sign on more than once, and it just really makes my life a lot easier. When it comes to actually closing the sale, which I think is probably the hardest part of sales, is like you have these conversations, okay, but how do I actually close the sale? Don't be afraid to follow up. Follow-ups aren't annoying. They're actually helpful. A lot of times people are just busy, and it's not that they don't want to work with you. It's probably that they just have a lot on their plate. That's probably why they need your support. And it's okay if people don't answer, right? So, sometimes I will ask people, hey, do you want more information? And they just won't answer. And that's okay. It doesn't mean okay, I'm never going to talk to this person again. No, you can keep building the relationship and you can try again later, especially as you get to know them more, as you get to know, what they need help with, you might have a different offer or a better fit offer at a different time. And so, just keeping in mind that okay, just because someone didn't answer me doesn't mean that we'll never work together. This is an opportunity to build a relationship, to keep on talking. And of course, sometimes you're going to get to know people and be like, okay, this person isn't really a good fit to work with me. And that's okay. But other times you'll get to know people and you're like, this person is a really, really good fit for what I'm doing. If you are struggling with sales, some things that I would say is, one, talk about your offer. People can't buy your offer if they don't know it exists. And not just talking about your offer, but also validating your people's experiences, validating that you understand where they want to go, talking about how your offer is going to make that bridge for them. And really talking to people. I think that this is the missing piece, is that people are not having enough conversations, right? They're posting the content, but they're not being social. And those conversations, that real human face-to-face interaction, that is a game changer. That's really where people are going to remember you, even if it's DMs, right? Having that conversation about the weather, homeschooling, anything that you're talking about that builds relationships. And then, when the opportunity arises, then you can say, hey, I think I have this that's a really good fit for you. Do you want more information? It doesn't have to be icky, right? It can just be hey, I have this thing that's helpful for you. And then also just being mindful of your emotions, right? So if somebody doesn't respond to you, if somebody says, hey, now is not a good time, don't take it personally. It doesn't mean anything about who you are as a person. At the end of the day, sales is a numbers game, right? It's about relationship building. It's about building your network, but you're going to hear no's. It's just the way it is, and that's okay. I remember when I first started, I did a no challenge in my business of how many no's can you get? And at first, no's feel really scary, but then once you get a lot of no's, you're kind of just okay, cool, that's cool. Reach out if you need anything. But just build that relationship. If that's somebody that you really want to work with, keep building that relationship. All of this being said, sales isn't something that has to feel gross. It doesn't have to feel icky. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be like, hey, I need to get my website exactly perfect so that I can start making sales. It's just about communicating the value of your offer, showing how your offer helps people, building trust with your people, and being of service. So if you like this episode or anything resonated for you, I would love to hear you. Feel free to DM me on Instagram with any questions or any topics you want to hear from. And until next time, thank you for listening to Cozypreneur. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate and leave a review on your preferred listening platform. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe for weekly episodes about how to make money and work with the dreamiest of clients without having to get dressed in the morning. Make sure to check out the show notes down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.